In 1902, Edward Blackwood, a cartographer for the Crown, was assigned to chart a forgotten stretch of land in northern England called Dunmere. Locals claimed the town didn't exist anymore. "It vanished 50 years ago," said one. But the Royal Map Registry still listed it, untouched. Edward, skeptical but thorough, packed his compass, surveyor's tools, and a revolver. He boarded a train north, bound for the last known outpost near Dunmere. The conductor grew uneasy when Edward mentioned Dunmere. "That place doesn't like being found," he said softly. "Best you don't go looking." Edward arrived at dusk. Mist hugged the moor. No road signs. Only a narrow cobbled path leading into trees that leaned unnaturally inward. He found no welcoming gate, only a crumbled stone marker etched with the word Dunmere in cracked Gothic script. The air thickened with stillness. The town appeared suddenly, no warning, no transition. One step, and there it was, empty streets, intact houses, and gas lamps flickering without any fuel. He wandered the main street. Shops had signs, windows, even goods. But there were no people. Everything looked frozen mid-moment, like time had paused. A newspaper sat on a bench. Dated 1852. Headlines read, "Third child missing. Mayor promises safety." The rest of the page was burned. He entered the town hall. Dustless, clean. A ledger lay open, ink still wet. The last name entered was Edward Blackwood. But he hadn't signed it. He heard faint piano music. It came from a schoolhouse nearby. Through the window, desks were arranged, but the chalkboard had scratch marks, not writing. Inside, a child's drawing was pinned to the wall, a smiling sun, stick figures, and something black in the corner. It had too many eyes. He left quickly. Outside, the streets had changed. Buildings stood where alleys had been. The path behind him no longer led out. He tried marking his trail with chalk. But the marks vanished within minutes. The air grew colder. Lanterns began flickering even without wind. That night, he slept in a boarding house. The bed was made, the sheets fresh. At midnight, the door creaked open, though no one entered. Whispers drifted through the floorboards. He walks again. Another seeker. He won't leave. Edward held his revolver close, though he felt it would be useless. In the morning, the sky remained the same dull gray. He found a church with shattered stained glass. Inside, no pews, only hundreds of shoes. He opened the pulpit. Inside was a mirror. It didn't reflect him. It showed children, huddled in a cellar, mouths sewn shut, eyes glowing faintly. He ran out, breath fogging. The street signs now bore different names. One said home. One said forget. One simply said no. Determined, he tried to sketch the map. But the lines changed as he drew them. Roads looped endlessly. Buildings multiplied where none had stood. He knocked on doors. No one answered. But sometimes, someone knocked back from inside softly, in patterns that didn't match any human rhythm. He returned to the town hall. The ledger now had his name signed 5 more times. One entry read, "He's starting to belong." He looked for the train station, there was none. The tracks ended at a cliff. Below, water churned though there was no ocean nearby. On the third night, he saw them. Figures walking the streets slowly, heads lowered, hands twitching. Their faces blurred like ink in rain. They didn't speak. But they watched. Always. From windows, from behind curtains, from mirrors. One raised a hand and pointed at Edward without moving. He followed a bell sound into the mayor's house. On the desk was a journal. "We tried to erase the evil," it said. "We failed." The final pages described a ritual meant to seal the town away from the world. "We anchored it with names. Names keep the thing asleep." Edward flipped the last page. It was blank, except for one word, "yours." A sudden tremor shook the floor. Bells rang where no towers stood. He ran outside. The town was shifting. Buildings sank into the ground. Streets stretched like rubber. The people now followed him silently. He reached the square. A fountain bubbled with ink, not water. The statues around it were crying. One of them wore Edward's face. He tried to scream, but his voice echoed as another's. "I found it," the voice said. "Now you stay. I go." He awoke back in his room. Everything was normal. No town. No fog. His notebook sat by the bed, full of maps he didn't draw. Back in London, no one believed him. The registry removed Dunmere from all records. His co-workers avoided his eyes. One muttered, "You've been marked." Every map he touched after that changed overnight. Towns vanished. Cities renamed themselves. Roads bent into loops. He stopped mapping altogether. He burned the pages, but they returned. Each night, a new one under his pillow. Each with his name signed again and again. He sees the children in his dreams. They whisper backwards. They hold keys. And one always says, "Don't look behind the church." He did once. Just once. And now his reflection moves before he does. Sometimes it smiles when he doesn't. He no longer remembers his home. Only Dunmere. Its name hums in walls, in mirrors, in puddles. The world forgets, but Edward remembers. And the town waits.